I think we need a shelter. We're a size of a city where it is a big enough issue. And yes, it started out temporary, but there's over 50 people per night who stay there. And if we decide to close it at any point, there will be 50 more people out on the streets of Norman, on the sidewalks downtown, in the parks, and on your front porch in your neighborhood. This keeps people off the street and away from the elements. There is no good time to live outside in this area of the country. It is freezing cold in the winter, it's boiling hot in the summer, and we have severe weather in the spring and fall with golf ball, softball-sized hail, tornadoes, high winds. It's not a good place to live outside, and we have to do everything we can to protect people from the elements. I think that the shelter on Gray Street, the permanent solution for that is not in that location. I think it is on the Griffin Hospital property, close to Food and Shelter for Friends and the County Health Department and the other services that have been in that area for some of them over 100 years. So I think that's the solution to that situation is, yes, we need to move it, but for the last 2 years, that has been the only location that we've been able to find in Norman for it to be located. And that's a city-owned building that we weren't using for really anything before but box storage and a few offices. And so what is more of a priority for our community? Keep people off the street and from freezing to death or dying of heat exhaustion, or using an old building to store boxes? And so that's what we've come down to. We've explored multiple options to try to move that shelter, and none of them have been successful. We've been negotiating with the state for a year, 2 years really, to try to find a building that we could use, and we haven't been able to, but we are working on it and trying to.
Mr. Mullinex, do you think this shelter...
Homelessness is real. And yes, it's increasing in Edmond. We've got what we call our permanent homeless around downtown that we all know. They eat breakfast 5 days a week at Breakfast on Boulevard at First Christian. They eat lunch every Tuesday at First Methodist for a free lunch. It's a problem. But you know what? They do a good job of taking care of themselves and making sure that that core group is, quote, following their rules. Our church, a couple of other churches, took the lead a couple of years ago and took pictures of every single one of those that we could find and got names, because we were tired of hearing police officers describe them as the hatchet man and the Rasta lady, because they didn't know their names. And we sat down with the police department, showed them, and they now treat them just like they are. They're humans. I know that the problem is growing because as they start coming up Broadway, when they get run off of Broadway, they go back behind the IBC Bank on 15th Street. That's where they hang out until they get chased off there. So it is becoming an issue. It's becoming a bigger issue, and we're going to have to find more ways to help them. And we can't just run them out of town. I mean, because they're just going to come back. There's got to be a solution to help people shift. And I don't know what the answer is, because guess what? It's a national problem. It's everywhere now. Go to Oklahoma City, and guess what? It's an ugly, ugly situation in many parts of town where tents are just all over the streets. Well, we don't want that in Edmond. So we've got to figure out what we can do as a community to help people, but control it all at the same time. Guess what? Once again, that's going to take a lot of communication and a lot of work with everybody in this city to make it real.
Mr. Robbins, same question to you, 2 minutes.
Yes. Housing insecurity severely affects many of our children, and we see that in the high transitory rate of how many schools kids will show up at. It's one of the very reasons that we always will have a white uniform shirt, is so that kids feel like they fit in when they get to the next school. You can't, Bloom's taxonomy, you can't get to your best educating your learning brain if you're constantly in fear of where you're going to be that night, if you don't know what it's going to be like. I work with kids all day as an occupational therapist, and I can tell you, I talk to kids who, when they move, they're like, Miss Paula, there's a bunch of roaches in my room this time. How could my son learn like that? So how we do it is we do not judge. We do not point this out to any student in front of other people, but we have a dedicated staff that is designed to go and find those students, help them get what they need, whether it be a laundry so they can have clean clothes, make sure they have food, our backpack services, our mental wellness wraps around them. We definitely have an issue, but we are addressing that issue.
The reality of it is the entire concept was bad, not about accessory dwelling units, Not a bad idea, to be quite honest. But the fact that you can completely bypass the planning process called Planning Commission and City Council to do this was the bad idea. And then you started reading through the regulations, and they had things like, well, you can't have a second-story balcony that faces the exterior of the property, which I think would mean that you'd have to build this skinny house with a hole in the middle with a balcony inside it if you wanted a balcony. I mean, it was bad language. There was a lot of reasons why it went down, and a lot of good people jumped in there. One of the issues that we saw was it literally split Bradford Village, the retirement community that's been part of this community for decades. It split it in half. Half was in, half was out. Made a lot of people think that, oh, guess what's getting ready to happen? The company that bought that retirement center from the Disciples of Christ Church was going to sell off part of the property so it could be redeveloped. That got a lot of people started. There was a lot of opposition to this particular proposal. Should we allow some type of accessory dwellings? Maybe so, but that was not the way to do it. Tom said it. It didn't include the people. We need to get everyone involved in this.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask a follow-up question on this. 60 seconds to either of you can start. If that's not a solution to increasing the housing supply here, I'm curious what you guys think a solution is, right? You already have talked about how a lot of people cannot afford to live in Edmond, whether if they can't find rental houses, can't afford a single-family home. I don't think apartments are super popular with a lot of people when it comes to the council. So I'm curious, is sprawl the only option? What do we do to have a better housing supply? 60 seconds to either of you.
Well, that is one part of the solution, because it's about as close to affordable as you're going to get in Edmond. Why? Because land is expensive in Edmond, let's admit it. Construction costs right now are high. When you say affordable to someone making $40,000 means one thing. If you're making $200,000, it means something else. And if you're making $500,000 a year, it means something else. So that's a scalable term. And when we're talking about it with those lower income people, sometimes that's a solution. It also lies in that same area where we need to be protecting some of those smaller houses that should be going back on the market and not torn down and have an infill where we build the same size house for 4 times the money.
And I'm sorry, you said that is part of the solution. What do you mean that? Sprawl?
No, the ADUs.
ADUs, okay.
Allowing ADUs and protecting those small homes is part of the solution.
So you think that would be good, but
Yes.
do we need to change the ordinances?
Well, we've got to do something with the ordinances because we don't allow that kind of stuff right now. And that was the problem, right? That was the problem, is we wanted to change it, but then we also wanted to totally ignore our planning commission and city council to make it happen.
Thank you. Mr. Robbins, 60 seconds.
Start with Mr. Pennington. You have 2 minutes.
Excellent. Homelessness is such an important issue for us to address in this community because all people in our community deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. And for the American dream to be possible, we need to enable people to be able to live in this economy and buy their own home and live comfortably. So I think what Oklahoma City is getting right is we're focused on collaborating together. There are so many, and I know this as a nonprofit leader, it's really important that we work together cooperatively rather than competing against each other. And the city's Key to Home initiative is really helping to rehouse a lot of people. It's helping us to stop some of the areas that encampments and really help rehab some of those people and help them to get the resources they need. My focus on homelessness is make housing more affordable for people. And then let's support initiatives that keep people from getting kicked out of their homes in the first place. So I also think we need to help people have the opportunities to rehab their homes. Let's talk about the redlining that happens in Ward 7 that prevents many people from getting the loans that they need to obtain the homes that they would like to have in our community. All of that is part of the solution. We also in Oklahoma City still have a mental health crisis. If we would help so many people in our community get access to the mental health resources that they need, they probably wouldn't, some of them can stop being homeless because they're getting the treatment that they need. So my focus is on treating everybody with respect and dignity, on on policies that push for more housing and keeping people in the housing where they are.
Thank you very much, Mr.